Happy Wednesday.
What's up, bro?
Wednesday, like why? I never understood why the N is after the D. It should be Wednesday if you pronounce it correctly.
That's kind of like Brett Favre.
Brett Favre. It's
Why do we do that?
Same thing.
Why do we not Favre him?
So it's Wednesday, and tonight on CNBC's Fast Money, we talked about these gaming stocks, and it got me thinking. I enjoyed the gaming back in high school / college. I will tell you, my go-to game was the Galaga. Loved it. If there was a machine in my house right now, I'd play it.
Dude, there's obviously, we got a lot of contests brewing, including the drum off with Ricky Rocket. I will take you down, like downtown Freddie Brown, Seattle Superhawks downtown, not the other guy, on Galaga anytime, dude. In fact, like I'm talking like 4 or 5 challenging stages in. Like, I don't know if you know what they even look like when they get to those, but that I would cut class. I would go straight down to the station break down on M Street. And I mean, a good part of my tuition money went out the window to play Galaga.
There was also that little game room in Healy Basement, if you recall, across the way from the pub.
There was a sit-down Galaga machine, right? No, sit-down.
Baby Pac-Man in the pub.
Yeah, it was not called Baby Pac-Man. It was called Ms. Pac-Man.
There was a Baby Pac-Man as well, okay?
There was no Baby Pac-Man. There was Pac-Man and there was Ms. Pac-Man.
We'll agree to disagree on that one.
All right. So, and before we leave games that we played that no one really gives a shit about, how about the Mattel Electronics football when you were 13 or 14? And I'm telling you, stores were selling out of that. I'd be waiting down outside of Herman's Sporting World. By the way,
Sure.
How about that for a reference? I'd be waiting outside of Herman's in the Galleria Mall to get the new Mattel Electronic football, which was basically some tiny little red slit LED lights that you would move around.
It was fantastic. And it's funny, you mentioned Herman, and immediately I think of Yvonne DiCarlo. And I don't know if you want to follow me down that road, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Nowhere. I don't know where you're going, dude.
Yeah, you do. They lived on 1313 Mockingbird Lane, if you recall. And now I know it's starting to go through your head. That was Mrs. Munster, Lily Munster.
Yeah, I know. And Maryland obviously was what we really came to talk about. But I want to talk about League of Legends, or actually, let's talk about Fortnite, because Fortnite's opening up, new round, new game, and this is, to me, arguably the most popular medium in the world. And I mean sports, I mean NASCAR. It's insane when you think about this. And so Epic Games, started by Tim Sweeney in his parents' basement in Potomac, Maryland, I believe, somewhere in Maryland. And this has become not only the game that is apparently they're now valued at $17 billion, but this is the game that really has stolen children from their families for days on end, and maybe hijacked their brains. So when you think about what's going on with these battle royale games, with these interactive games, what's going on in general with gaming as we drop this into a COVID-19, it's extraordinary. The world we live in, and the fact that my kids would much rather be gaming. My son wants to be a YouTube gamer, which means he wants to explain games on TV. So he's following after the old man a little bit, but he actually wants to be gaming. So the companies that are building these properties and the trademarks and the licensing around these properties are I think tomorrow's Star Wars and Lucas and Marvel. The value inherent in these properties is something we have no idea about.
You're 100% right. And first of all, kudos to you, because a year and a half, 2 years ago, time sort of flies by.
I'm the guy.
You were the guy. You were going to the Barclays Center watching people play video games, and I was laughing at you.
League of Legends, baby.
And now here we are. I know we talked about this a couple of years ago, and I think these companies made a big mistake. Disney should have bought an Electronic Arts or Take-Two Interactive or Apple or any of these companies, because it sort of fits into, if you think about it, their business model. Now, Disney, I can understand why they'd want to sort of get away from some of these more violent games. But if you think in terms of that vertical, it makes perfect sense and lines up really well. And in terms of the stocks, Take-Two is within a whisper of an all-time high. Electronic Arts has lagged without question, but it seems to be getting off the mat as well. So you can laugh at us if you want, old dudes talking about video games, but the investing reality is really out there in a major way.
And our friend Tom Rogers, who's on the show all the time, but more importantly is effectively the founder of CNBC and a major media executive, is on the leading edge of this with his new company Engine, where it's essentially combining interactivity with sports and news, and obviously the whole dynamic here of people no longer consuming media the way they used to. And when you think about the death of linear TV, and you think about over the top and the ability to be involved. And to bet and to have a stake and to be a character in a drama and you name it. It's exactly why I think people are looking for opportunities to invest along with this. And I think the valuations, back to which stocks do you want to own here? Tencent to me is the great tech incubator in the world, and their exposure to social media and gaming is the best in the world. So own Tencent, who owns 40% of Epic Games. But you talked about Electronic Arts, and again, this is Apex Legends, et cetera. They have a new one out, and that valuation, not expensive. These things got a little pricey about 2 years ago, and then they really hit the skids. And ultimately, the question was, did they have the pipeline coming through? Did they have refreshed properties? And there was a lull. We're now actually seeing those properties come through, and the valuation at around 25 times, and a chart that's starting to break out. Look, I'm very happy to be the gaming spokesperson on Fast Money, and I hope to go to another sold-out Barclays Center to watch 18,000 people screaming as if they're watching the Stanley Cup Game 7. And that's the kind of excitement this stuff's generating.
So tonight on CNBC's Fast Money, as I mentioned earlier, I made a comment that Google was no more monopoly than the Yankees were. I just mentioned that Google happens to do it much better than everybody. There are other search engines, unless I'm wrong, and there are other baseball teams. It just so happens that Google does it better, as do the Yankees. So I want to give you the opportunity to sort of refute or fricassee me on that one.
I don't know how, when you say someone does it better, how recent of a reference point there has to be. I mean, the Yankees haven't won a World Series in 11 years, dude. Last time I checked, that's not a recency dynamic that allows you to say they are the guys. And in fact, you probably, sadly, would have to go over to those guys in Houston and actually talk about them. But I mean, I think if you want to talk about how the Yankees have a tradition, how the Yankees have certainly won the most World Series in Major League history, I can do that. But you hanging on the legacy when in fact the legacy is looking kind of stale. I feel bad that you got downgraded by Moody's at Yankee Stadium yesterday. I mean, that was lost in all the hullabaloo about markets. Is that Yankee Stadium, the house that Ruth built, apparently is going junk.
At least I'm honest in my disdain and utter hatred for the Mets.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're
not.
Not.
Yours in
Chief, buddy, pal.
Chief and buddy,
Ace.
and palled me.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
tomorrow we're going to talk about, and we're going to end it on this note, and I think we should talk about this on a Thursday. And I want you to go home, and this is your homework.
I'm going to do some homework.
Is there a player in Met history at a position that is better than the Yankee player at this same position? In other words, would a Met
you don't need to explain it. You don't need to explain it.
And in my world, the answer is an emphatic no way.
All right, so I've got my homework, so let's come back with that because, I may have to do a little bit of work on that. By the way, I seem to have mildly offended you by calling you Ace. You know what's really great about those terms is that I truly, when I hit somebody with a buddy or a pal, my man, dude, bro, brother, those are all actually like, we are bonding. I mean that well. And sometimes, as you know, I will buddy and pal you in the same sentence. But if I hit you with yeah, what's up, killer, or slugger, or champ,
derogatory.
Yeah, you might want to be, those might be fighting words. Whereas if I go into the deli and the guy's making my bacon, egg, and cheese, I'm going to hit him with Hefe. I'm going to hit him with boss. I'm going to let him think he's the boss. Or governor. I mean, maybe I don't know, but I didn't mean to offend you. Just it is Wednesday.
Not offended. I enjoy the witty repartee. That's a French word. And on that note, talk to you tomorrow.
All right, Chief.